and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do a video just sharing with you guys some tips on traveling solo. I know for some people it can be very intimidating traveling by yourself, especially if you're used to traveling in groups, but I don't want that to stop you from having the opportunity to travel by yourself. And I absolutely love traveling solo, so I wanted to share with you guys some tips that work for me, and hopefully it will motivate you to go on your first solo trip. And if you have been on solo trips before, this will be some information for you that you can use the next time you go on your trip. The first tip is definitely safety come first. So I really suggest to women who are traveling solo to make sure, or at least try to arrive during the day. And I know that is, depending on what country you're going to, that can be very difficult. But if you do have the opportunity to arrive at your destination during the daytime, I highly suggest you arriving during the day, just because I don't want to, unfortunately, a lot of times women, when we travel alone, we could be taking advantage of just, with the taxi fees or whatever the case may be. But I highly suggest that try your best to arrive at your destination during the daytime. It just makes things a lot easier, especially if you have no idea where you're going or what the place look like. My second suggestion would be to always let people know where you're going. When I was on my latest solo trip, I let my spouse know where I was going every step of the way. I would text him, hey, I'm going to this location, I'm right here, just because anything could happen at any time, and at least he knows where you're at, or your family, your best friend, your parents, at least they know where you're at. If you can send an email, a text message, whatever you can do, and depending on the country, you may not have access to the internet, or you may have, usually if you're in a tourist area, they have hotspots that you can connect to, but let them know that wherever you're going, you're leaving a hotel, where you're going next does not have any internet access. This is the address. If you're going to a destination that does not have Wi-Fi, plan for that and just let your family know. And that goes to my third suggestion of letting your family know of your itinerary. Send your itinerary out to as many people as possible. So if you have your best friend, your spouse, your parents, your aunt, people that you are close to, and they know that you're going out of the country or even out of the state, let them know exactly what your plans are. Because if you don't have access to internet, you're unable to use your cell phone, or you didn't purchase a cell phone for that trip, let them know where you are at all times via your itinerary, just because sometimes it could be a little tricky with having your phone in another country. So that's when sending your itinerary to family and friends comes in handy. And even if you don't have a phone with you, if you have your laptop, wherever, try to check in on social media just to let people know that you are okay. Or even create a group on Facebook, or send private posts to people just to let them know where you're at, because again, safety is very important. Just to piggyback on what I was saying, having an itinerary is very important because it's really just you. And the best part of traveling alone is just to be able to do what you want when you want. Of course, it is fun traveling with friends and family, but it's also really nice to travel alone. Have an itinerary, write down what you want to do, and just explore. Another tip that I have is to bring the exact change. Do not pull out a whop of money wherever you're going. Pull the exact change. When I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico, I made sure that I had my money, even before you leave. I took a lot of public transportation, so while I was taking the bus, I would make sure that I had the exact change. It was 75 cents to take the bus. I'm not going to pull out 20s, $5 bills, whatever the case is. It just doesn't make any sense. I made sure that I had enough change. Ask your hotel, if you're staying at a hotel, if you're staying at an Airbnb, ask the person where you're staying at. Try to have, depending on what country you're going to, or if you're just traveling to another state, make sure you have the exact change and try to bring various change with you. I know some people even contact their banks to do the currency exchange, so that's another option that you can do, and advance. But if you do go to another country and you have to change currency, make sure you check the rates prior to going. And that's just another tip, because sometimes people have no idea. The fees vary, and there are various apps that you can use just to check the currency, that what the currency rate is to the country that you're going. Of course, if you are just going to another state, you pretty much know how much things are, but just be prepared, because you can live in one state and then go to New York and not realize that a slice of pizza is going to cost you like $7 in Manhattan. So another tip is to know how much the food costs where you're going. Another great resource is TripAdvisor. A lot of times people will let you know how much the food was or how much their meal costs. And also, sometimes you can also research the place and look at their menu in advance, so you know exactly how much you should have. You should know what possibly you should be ordering, just because it is really helpful when you're by yourself. And that kind of leads me into my next tip of knowing the phrases that you should be using. I will leave some of the apps that I did when traveling solo. You want to know what you're ordering. So even if you have it written down on a notepad, or if you have it written down, just if you're like really scared about what you're ordering, look at the menu in advance. Learn a couple of phrases, know how to say hello, know how to say thank you, because it does, show that you are at least trying. And it could be a little awkward when you're in another state, or country. So you do want to make sure that you have those resources. If it is like a handbook, depending on the country that you're going to, there may be people who speak English if you are coming from the United States. But just be prepared to be able to say a couple of phrases. And even when someone does help you, if they don't speak the language, you want to be able to say thank you in their language. That's just courtesy. Another thing is to follow your gut. If your gut is telling you not to stay at that location, if your gut is telling you not to go to that place. When I travel solo, depending on the area, I try to get as much done during the daytime, and at night I try to stay close to the hotel. Take that extra precaution, follow your gut. If your gut is saying, you know what, maybe I should leave around now, maybe you should leave at that time. So just follow your gut. I think all of the tips coincide with each other. Making sure you have enough currency, making sure you are not pulling all your money out at the same time, making sure you create an itinerary. And when you do create an itinerary, you share that with your friends and family. Also knowing, where you're staying at, doing your research with TripAdvisor or whatever place that you're staying at, knowing exactly if that's a safe location, if it's not the best location. Because I notice that a lot of times people try to put their safety, a cost on their safety. So you really want to stay, it depends on where you're traveling to, but you want to make sure that you do the research and stay at a place that is going to be secure. And even up until your trip, make sure that you check the reviews, because anything can happen prior to you actually going to that destination and someone leaving that destination. So just, follow up with the places and make sure that you have an amazing trip. So thank you guys so much for listening to me. I hope these tips are helpful for you. If you have any tips for traveling solo that I did not mention, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. I just again want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to chatting with you guys next time.